Hello everyone, my name is Eric, and today we're going to be talking about why in particular French cuisine is something that draws me further into the culinary world instead of any other form of cooking. Obviously we do have American cuisine. We also have things such as, Mexican food, Mexican cuisine. We have Italian cuisine. We have British cuisine. However, when it comes to something that originally, fascinates me the most just because of its origins and what it's done to our society and the culinary field, French cuisine definitely has probably, in my opinion, made one of the biggest influences because of that. When it comes to the early days, like way before, like it originally started in the 1800s. That's when it started to build up its history. However, if you really want to go further back into the 1400s and the 1500s, there is a lot more behind French cuisine, and to the point where it actually gets a little political, just because of what was going on during the time. Not political today, but political at the time. That being said, during the 1800s, there was obviously like the formation of different kinds of popular styles of cooking, and one of the biggest creations that was created in the 1800s was the creation of the five mother sauces, which are bechamel, velouté, tomato sauce, espagnole, and hollandaise, each one presenting different kinds of properties and different kinds of ingredients that create their own base for something that could ultimately be a whole different recipe. And there's obviously different kinds of forms of the mother sauces, and if it weren't for them, we definitely wouldn't have a lot what we have today, which is why I personally find it so interesting to look back and see what originally started a lot of the foods that we eat every single day. And not only that, but French cuisine generally has a lot of techniques that are nothing like of what we typically cook over in America. When we look at something like an omelet, for example, an omelet, you typically think of the properties of how it tastes, and it's usually, the texture is usually a bit drier, the eggs are fluffy, and things of that sort. However, when it comes to a French omelet, there is definitely a very large difference in it, simply because French omelets, they contain a lot more butter. Naturally there's a stereotype that French cuisine has a lot of butter, and for the most part when it comes to like an omelet, it's actually true, just because I've cooked it, and it's mainly butter and eggs, but it's actually really good. And the thing is that it's not only just with the omelets. There's a lot of different things, like the hollandaise sauce is definitely such an interesting flavor, just because it's an emulsification of something, of egg yolk and literally a whole stick of butter, and it's insane. That's what we put over the eggs Benedict, which is with the poached egg and the ham and the biscuit under that. And I hit my desk holding the camera. My apologies. But when it comes to French cuisine, there's definitely a lot about it that definitely brings a lot of influence into our modern society and our modern form of cooking, which a lot of us, I would say, like we take for granted until we actually look into the history of it. Because I know I certainly did. I certainly had no idea about all of the origins when it comes to different kinds of foods until I looked further into the history, and that's why I find it so interesting. There is obviously a lot of different kinds of foods, like macaroons, different kinds. I had a list over here, actually. If I read over my notes, they've created the creme brulee, the crepe, we have, like I said, the macaroons over here. I can't really show a picture over here because my monitor won't work, but we have foie gras, which is I believe it's a duck liver that contains a lot of fat. It's definitely a very unique, very rich, very kind of decadent foods that we do see a lot in pop culture, but it definitely has its section section of importance when it comes to the Culinary Institute. That's pretty much it when it comes to my speech of what's, just informing everyone on the influences of the culinary of the French cuisine, the Culinary Institute, and the culinary field. Okay, thank you.